Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm your host, and I'm joined, as always, by our resident expert. And today, I really want you to imagine, just for a second, that you've just survived the unimaginable.
Yeah, it's something truly horrific.
Exactly. Like, you are covered in mud, your heart is just hammering against your ribs, and you've narrowly escaped an actual, literal massacre in this pitch-black, suffocating swamp.
Sounds awful.
Oh, it gets worse. So you're stumbling through the dark, and finally you see it, right? A house.
A little flicker of safety.
Yeah. You pound on the door. The guy inside takes one look at your state, pulls you in, gives you a blanket or a warm drink. And for a split second, you let yourself think, well, okay, the nightmare is over.
But it's not.
It is not, because then he asks your name. And the moment the syllables leave your mouth, the blood just drains from his face. All that hospitality evaporates. He pulls a gun on you and forces you right back out into the dark.
Which is just a complete gut punch.
It really is. And it's not because of anything you did, but because your survival and the nightmare you just walked out of is tied to this decades-old sin committed by your father.
Yeah, it completely shatters any illusion of safety you might have had. You realize in that exact moment that the horror wasn't just random bad luck.
Right, not just wrong place, wrong time.
Exactly. It was a bloodline debt. And I mean, this isn't just some campfire tale we're talking about today.
No, it's not.
This is the documented reality we're analyzing from the transcripts of the Honey Island Swamp Massacre. We're looking at a survivor named Mary Beth, this cursed figure named Victor Crowley, and a local voodoo shop owner who goes by Reverend Zombie.
So, yeah, put yourself right in Mary Beth's shoes. You stumble into this local guy's place, this guy named Jack Cracker.
Great name.
I know, right? So he gives you a blanket. The adrenaline is maybe just starting to wear off a little bit. And then you tell him your last name is Dunstan.
Yep, the worst thing she could have said.
You're the daughter of Samson Dunstan. And Jack's reaction is just immediate. It's visceral. He literally throws you back out to the monsters.
Well, because Jack Cracker actually understands the local ecosystem of that swamp, he knows that associating with a Dunstan is a flat-out death sentence.
Because of the history.
Right. He kicks her out into the night, just absolutely terrified that her mere presence is going to bring the ghost of Victor Crowley crashing down on his house. I mean, the only thing he gives her is a direction. He tells her if she wants answers, she needs to go find Reverend Zombie.
Right. So let's get into the mechanics of how this swamp became such a deeply, infected trauma zone.
It's a heavy backstory.
Yeah, because the monster of this story, Victor Crowley, he didn't start out as a monster. The source material outlines this incredibly bleak, just heartbreaking history involving his father, Thomas Crowley.
Right. This is what you'd call the original sin of Honey Island Swamp. So long before Mary Beth was even born, Thomas Crowley lived out in that swamp with his wife, Cheyenne. But Cheyenne was dying this really slow, agonizing death from stomach cancer. And the sources are very clear about how painful and just protracted this whole process was for her.
Just a horrific situation for anyone to be in.
Exactly. And during this deeply vulnerable, chaotic period, Thomas makes a pretty fatal choice. He begins an affair with Cheyenne's caretaker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a nurse named Lena.
Which, I mean, in the context of local folklore, that is just the absolute perfect recipe for a metaphysical disaster.
It really is. Because when Cheyenne finally succumbs to the cancer, it isn't a peaceful release at all. She figures out the betrayal.
Oh, she knew.
Yeah, she knew. And in her dying, agonizing moments, she weaponizes all that grief. She places a horrific curse on Thomas, on Lena, and specifically on the unborn child that was, already growing in Lena's womb.
Wait, let me stop you right there, because I understand a deathbed curse is a general concept, right? It's a staple in folklore. But how does this curse actually manifest? Like, does it just make the baby evil? Because being born cursed doesn't automatically turn you into a massive swamp-dwelling killing machine.
Well, the curse actually targets the child's physical form and the mother's survival. So when the child, Victor Crowley, is born, the sources describe it as an almost geographical event.
What do you mean by that?
Like, the swamp itself supposedly mourned, the trees wept, wildlife died off. Victor was born severely deformed, and the sheer shock of his appearance actually killed his mother, Lena, the moment she laid eyes on him.
That is incredibly dark.
Yeah. So Thomas, who is now this single father, completely isolated by this double tragedy, he decides to hide Victor away in their swamp house.
Just trying to protect him, I guess?
Exactly, dedicating his whole life to protecting this boy from a world that would just inevitably reject him or attack him.
Which, works for a while, until Halloween night. And this is where the story shifts from a sad, isolated family drama into an absolute bloodbath. Because a group of local teenagers come out to the swamp. They decide to terrorize the Crowley house, and they throw lit fireworks through the windows. The house catching fire.
And you really have to look at the psychology of this exact moment. Thomas wakes up to his house completely engulfed in flames.
Total panic.
Total panic. His only thought is saving his son. But the heavy wooden door to Victor's room is jammed, or maybe someone locked it from the outside.
Oh no.
So Thomas, acting on pure, desperate parental instinct, grabs a hatchet and starts frantically chopping through the door to get to his boy.
But he can't see through the door.
No, he can't. And Victor, who is obviously terrified of the fire, is pressed right up against the other side of that exact door, trying to get out.
Just trying to escape the flames.
Yeah. So Thomas swings the hatchet through the wood and accidentally buries it in his own son's face. Yeah, killing him instantly. And the teenagers who started the fire, they just flee into the night, they deny everything, and Thomas Crowley is left alone in the ashes.
That is just gut-wrenching.
He eventually dies of a broken heart, leaving Victor's spirit just, trapped in the swamp.
The father's protective instinct literally becomes the murder weapon. That is so tragic.
Yeah.
But going back to the sources, they don't just call Victor a ghost. They use a very specific term. They refer to him as a repeater.
Yes, a repeater.
So how does a repeater operate differently than your standard, haunting?
Well, a repeater is fundamentally a tragic figure who is trapped in an active trauma loop. Victor isn't haunting the swamp to scare people or rattle chains like a traditional ghost.
Right, he's not doing it for spooky effect.
Exactly. He is forced to continuously relive the exact moment of his violent death night after night. He just wanders the swamp, eternally searching for his father and massacring anyone he encounters.
But not out of pure evil, right?
Correct. No, he isn't killing out of pure malice. He's killing out of a perpetual, blinding state of agonizing fear and just confused revenge.
It makes me think of like a corrupted computer file.
That's a good way to put it.
Or a skipping record. It's this endless loop of code, and he's stuck on the worst night of his entire existence. So if you wander into Honey Island Swamp, you aren't really being targeted. You were just accidentally hitting play on that loop and getting caught in the machinery.
Right, and because it's a corrupted file, it infects the hardware itself. The swamp isn't just a physical location anymore.
It's changed.
It has become a geographical manifestation of Victor's endless grief. It is an active, lethal danger zone.
But here's the thing I just don't get. You have this terrifying geographic trauma zone, people go missing, the local government even shuts the swamp down, it's walled off.
Completely restricted.
So why on earth would anyone willingly go near it? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense until you look at the one thing that motivates people more than fear: money. We have this untouchable sacred tragedy of a ghost, and then we introduce the incredibly ugly human desire to profit off it. Enter Reverend Zombie.
Right. Reverend Zombie is a man who runs a local voodoo shop and tourism business, and his wallet is hurting badly.
The closure really hit him.
Hard. The swamp closure has created this massive economic vacuum in the town, and it's basically crippling his livelihood. So to make ends meet, he admits he's been running illegal, off-the-books night tours deep into the cursed swamp.
Because to him, the curse is just marketing, right? It's a way to sell tickets.
Exactly, just a cash grab.
Until one of his tour boats, driven by this inexperienced kid named Sean, actually gets stuck out there. And that is what triggers the massacre that Mary Beth barely survives.
Yeah.
Victor Crowley does what the corrupted file always does. He attacks the foreign variables in his swamp.
But look at Reverend Zombie's reaction to this. I mean, he loses a boat full of tourists to a supernatural meat grinder, and he doesn't go to the authorities.
Of course not. He'd be arrested.
He doesn't shut down his operation. Instead, he holds a clandestine town hall meeting at his voodoo shop. He needs his boat back. He needs to quietly deal with the missing tourists, and he decides he is going to solve his ghost problem once and for all by hiring local hunters as mercenaries.
He literally offers them $500 cash up front and a $5,000 bounty for Victor Crowley's head.
A bounty on a ghost.
Yes. And the details of this meeting in the source material are staggering. Put yourself in this room for a second. You're being offered a bounty to hunt a literal urban legend, a demon of the swamp. What are these hunters doing?
Worrying about snacks.
Yes. They are demanding milk for their complimentary cookies.
The cognitive dissonance is just unbelievable. You have this imposing figure, Reverend Zombie, laying out a highly dangerous, potentially lethal mission into a condemned swamp, and the crowd is fixated on snack logistics.
Good to serve.
You have guys like Chad and Cletus treating it like a weekend fraternity trip. Chad is actively mocking another hunter because his brother's name is Skip.
They completely lack the capacity to understand what they're actually signing up for. They think they are going out to shoot a nuisance bear or like catch a gator.
Right, something tangible.
They view Victor Crowley as just a boogeyman, a movie villain made up to keep kids out of the woods.
Yeah.
They honestly think bullets are going to solve a metaphysical problem.
And even the more serious hunters are blinded by the mundane. Look at Trent. Trent is an experienced hunter, but the sources note he has a history of DUIs and lost half his assets in a brutal divorce.
So he's desperate.
He is a desperate man. When Zombie bumps Trent's personal payout to $1,000 to get him on board, Trent just takes it. He is substituting a real-world financial disaster with a supernatural suicide mission because his brain simply cannot process the reality of the ghost.
It is the ultimate human hubris. Walking right into obvious flashing red light danger because you think your shotgun and $1,000 make you invincible.
And that hubris is exactly what Reverend Zombie is weaponizing. Because the entire rescue mission, the bounty hunt, it's a complete smokescreen.
Wait, so Zombie doesn't actually expect them to shoot Victor Crowley and drag his body back?
Not at all. We find this out when Zombie confides in his employee, Justin. Zombie reveals he isn't sending these guys in to win a gunfight with a ghost. He is operating on a very specific, deeply cynical interpretation of the local lore.
What kind of interpretation?
Well, Zombie believes that the curse can be permanently lifted, but only if Victor Crowley achieves his ultimate revenge.
On who? The kids who threw the fireworks.
Exactly, the 3 children who started the fire on that Halloween night decades ago.
Okay, hold up. Zombie knows this ghost is an unstoppable killing machine. Is he really naive enough to think a blood curse operates like a legal contract he can just loophole his way out of?
He absolutely is. He practices what we could call transactional supernaturalism.
I need you to unpack transactional supernaturalism because that sounds like corporate jargon for premeditated murder.
I mean, it essentially is. Think of it like buying indulgences in the Middle Ages or, modern carbon offsetting.
Oh, I see.
You believe there is a metaphysical ledger, and if you just pay a specific price, you can clear the debt. Zombie thinks human blood is the currency. And the puzzle pieces really locked together here. One of those 3 kids who started the fire was Samson Mary Beth's father.
The man Victor Crowley just tore apart the night before.
Exactly.
So in Zombie's twisted ledger, Victor is 1/3 of the way through his revenge checklist. To zero out the account and break the curse entirely, the other 2 men who were there as teenagers need to die tonight.
Right. And who are those other 2 men? Well, one of them is Trent.
The serious hunter with the DUIs. The guy Zombie specifically lured to the meeting with a double payout.
Exactly. He handpicked his sacrifice. And the 3rd man from that night is Samson's brother, Mary Beth's uncle, which is where Zombie's manipulation crosses the line into pure diabolical sociopathy.
Because of Mary Beth.
Right. Mary Beth came to Zombie looking for answers and a way to recover the bodies of her family. Zombie actively uses her grief against her. He refuses to take her back into the swamp unless she brings a family member with her.
He specifically insists on an uncle.
He specifically insists on her uncle. He manipulates her into dragging the man she calls Uncle Bob right into the jaws of the trap.
So he is literally hand-delivering the targets to the monster. He thinks if he feeds Trent and Uncle Bob to Victor Crowley, the karmic equation balances out, the ghost finds peace, and he can just reopen his swamp tours.
Yeah, that's the plan.
It's supernatural money laundering. He's trying to clean the swamp using his neighbor's blood.
It highlights a chilling pathology, honestly. Zombie believes his intellect elevates him above the brutal, primitive nature of the curse. He thinks he is the grand architect pulling all the strings.
Like it's a game.
Yeah, he isn't acting out of trauma like Victor. He is acting on a spreadsheet.
But as we see when this doomed expedition actually enters the swamp, the universe doesn't care about his spreadsheets. Talk to me about this sensory shift when they get out there. Because Zombie's supposedly flawless master plan unravels incredibly fast.
Oh, the moment they enter the swamp, the atmosphere completely degrades. All that arrogant banter from the voodoo shop, it just vanishes.
It gets real very quickly.
Very quickly. The group of hunters inevitably splits up in the dark, and heavy paranoia sets in. Mary Beth leads them to the shed where she claims she saw her father and brother murdered the night before. But But when they open the doors,
Nothing.
it's completely empty.
The bodies are gone.
Yeah.
And that missing physical evidence is what really snaps the hunter's reality. The panic is absolute. They start firing their weapons blindly into the darkness.
Which does nothing.
Right. The movie villain they thought they were hunting suddenly becomes very real, very endurable, and completely immune to their bullets.
And while the hunters are being systematically picked off by Crowley in the dark, Zombie decides it's time to execute his final move. Amidst all the chaos, he actively traps Mary Beth and Uncle Bob inside that empty shed.
He locks them in.
He blocks the door from the outside. He is literally caging the sacrifice, just waiting for the monster to show up.
And he actually monologues. Like a cartoon villain, he stands outside the shed, proudly declaring to Mary Beth that it is all over. He lays out his whole scheme, telling her that Victor is getting his revenge on Trent and her uncle, and once Bob is dead, the curse is lifted and the swamp is his.
He is so incredibly smug about it.
He really fancies himself the ultimate lore master of Honey Island Swamp.
He truly believes he has beaten the system. And then, through the walls of the shed, Mary Beth drops a piece of mundane, hidden information that just shatters Zombie's entire reality.
The twist.
The twist. She tells him that the man in the shed, Uncle Bob, isn't her biological uncle.
Which means what, exactly, like in the context of the curse?
It means Bob was just her dad's best friend, a guy who was around so much she respectfully called him uncle.
Oh, well.
Her actual biological Uncle Samson's real brother, the third kid who threw the fireworks, died of leukemia when Mary Beth was 12 years old.
Oh, the mechanics of that failure, just brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, Zombie orchestrated this massive, deadly expedition. He bribed locals, he manipulated a grieving daughter, he sacrificed innocent lives, and his grand metaphysical scheme failed because he didn't do a basic background check.
It is the ultimate failure of viewing people as functions rather than human beings. Zombie built his entire transactional equation on a faulty premise.
A completely wrong assumption.
Right. He reduced complex human relationships to a functional title, the uncle, without verifying the messy, complicated human history beneath the title. He brought the wrong man.
He sacrificed the wrong guy, which means the ledger isn't balanced. The original three are not all dead by Victor's hand.
No, they aren't.
When that realization hits Zombie, you can practically hear the architecture of his arrogance just collapsing. The curse is not broken. Victor Crowley is still active.
Alive and well. Or, dead and well.
Right. Zombie hasn't solved anything. He has just added half a dozen more bodies to the swamp and provided the repeater ghost with fresh trauma.
It perfectly exposes the flaw in his transactional supernaturalism. He assumed he could control a force born of unimaginable pain and rage by treating it like a math problem.
Like he could just balance the books?
Exactly. He thought he knew all the variables, but he didn't even understand the people standing right in front of him.
So, kind of synthesizing everything we've looked at today, the story of Honey Island Swamp really operates as a profound dual tragedy.
Absolutely.
On one side, you have the inescapable, heartbreaking loop of Victor Crowley's pain. A child killed by his protector, trapped as a monster by a curse he didn't ask for. It's a tragedy of pure emotion and trauma.
And on the exact opposite side, you have the massive hubris of Reverend Zombie. It's a tragedy of intellect and greed. A man who thought he was the game master playing a sophisticated game of chess without realizing he didn't even know who was actually on the board. He tried to outsmart a force of nature for a quick buck, and it cost everyone their lives.
Which leaves us with a final thought I want to offer you, the listener, as you step back into the real world. Think about how often we, in our own lives, try to manipulate complex situations based on incomplete information or assumed facts.
It happens all the time.
It does. When we treat the people around us as mere variables in a formula designed to get us what we want, we often end up waking the very monsters we are trying to put to rest. So, how certain are you of the facts in the stories you tell yourself? Because if there is one thing the tragedy of Honey Island Swamp proves, it's that when you think you've finally figured out the machinery of the nightmare, you might just be the one plugging it in.